Blog Talk Radio.
Recruiting animal. Hi, everybody. Back again on August 1st, August 1, 2018. And as you know, and I'm sure you do know it, one of the foundations of our culture is the culture of ancient Athens, a long time ago, right? In Greece. And the key person in that culture for us was Socrates. He's what you call, or he was what you call, a gadfly. A gadfly. He went around poking holes in other people's ideas. That's what he liked to do, okay? Anyway, as I said, he's one of the foundational, I'm repeating myself, I don't have that much to say. He's one of the foundational heroes of our culture. But you know what? The big shots in his own city, they killed him for asking too many questions. And you know what? People haven't changed. If you criticize what other people say on social media, they don't want to hear it. They take it as a personal offense. And you know what? Quite often, they will block you. There's a candidate for mayor of Toronto, and she blocked a journalist who criticized her. Can you imagine that? In a democracy where politicians are supposed to be accountable to the people, she wants to shut out criticism. But here's something else. Lots of journalists, they'll block you too if you critique them because people just don't like it when you disagree with them. I have a friend who commented on Facebook a few weeks ago, and he was mobbed as a result. That's when a bunch of people form a lynch mob, a verbal lynch mob, and start calling you all kinds of names like fascist. They don't know anything about you, but you're a fascist. Makes you sound like you're the worst person in the world. That's wrong, okay? But there's one place in social media that respects democratic culture. And you know what? It's a radio show that criticizes and takes criticism. It takes it as well. And Jerry, what show is that?
The Recruiting Animal Show!
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
The animal?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Swansea is most certainly in Wales, you dummy.
Okay, we've got a part of town here. It's called Swansea, out in the West End. You corrected
I
me.
wasn't
I'm a
talking
dummy.
about Swansea, Canada.
Okay.
Talking
Anyway,
about Swansea, Wales.
You
said it was
criticism.
in London or something.
Yeah. I thought so.
Wrong.
I didn't know where it was. Swansea.
Okay.
Swansea. Okay. Anyway, I want to thank my sponsors, Jerry. Before, I want to make them happy. Martin Snyder, the boss at PC Recruiter. I got a cold today. The PC Recruiter, in case anyone has forgotten, is the Swiss Army knife of recruiting software. Nin Tran, that's Nin with an H, N-I-N-H, Tran, the COO of Hire Tool, Hiretual, the super-duper sourcing tool, and Nicholas Livingston, the CEO of Honeit, Honeit, the online interview technology. You know what? Jones is a Welsh name. Now, the guest today is from Wales, okay? That's why we're talking about Wales. And Jones is one of the best names in the English language, if not the very best. It's easy to say. It sounds good. It's easy to spell. That's one of the greatest names, and it comes from Wales, right? Jerry, would you agree with me about that?
One of the very best, yes, and that comes from Wales, indeed.
Yeah, okay.
I know a lot about Wales right now.
You do, eh? Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Been doing a lot of research on the internet.
Okay, because I don't know if the guest is here. Her name is Michelle Letherby. Her name is not easy. How do you spell Letherby? You guess. Guess, Jerry. Come on.
Leatherby.
No A. Can you imagine that? Yeah. I couldn't find her online. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. How are you supposed to find her? On LinkedIn or something?
Absolutely. I had trouble. Okay. I couldn't find her.
She should change it to Jones if that's. I know that changing international people's names, such as hers, is kind of your specialty. You got a lot of support for that last week in your group. Telling people they need a new name is very helpful. She needs to change her name because there's a natural way to spell Letherby. You demonstrated it, and she's got this goofy spelling of Letherby. Okay. What did you say her first name is? Donna.
Michelle. Okay.
Letherby.
Michelle, are you here?
Letherby from Wales.
Michelle called in. She told me she couldn't hear anything. She couldn't do. We couldn't hear her, and now she's disappeared. What are we going to do? Talk about Wales all
distance.
day?
I mean, Wales. I can't get over that. Wales. I feel so international, but this isn't happening, is it?
You know what Wales means? Foreigner. They were Celts, and then these Angles and the Saxons came into England, and they pushed them out to the outskirts, the West End, and so they called the people who lived there before them foreigners. That's the Welsh people. Okay.
How far are they from the Vikings?
I don't know if the Vikings made it over to Wales. I don't know. No, they're on the other side of England. England's not far from the Vikings. That's why they got
that series on PBS?
Now, let me see who's here, okay? Because I got to start the show.
Okay, I'm getting off track. Sorry.
Who's here? I'm going to do a roll call. Area code 111. Who's that? No answer. Thank you.
Dude,
Area code.
That's Wales. That's her.
That's not her. I don't know. Area code 903. Area code 903. Can you hear me? I know I can be heard. Jerry is talking to me. 903. 203. Area code 203. Is there something wrong? Kendra! Hey, do you want to be the guest today? I mean, I don't have a guest. She disappeared.
I'm here. No, I can't be the guest. I can't say anything honest.
Why not? You're in your office?
Because I'm always looking, and I sit in an open area.
Wow.
You're always looking for what?
My next gig.
Job? Yeah, but we're not worried about that. I got to get the show rolling. I'll tell you what. We'll bounce questions off you, and Jerry and I will pretend you're like the guest, and then Jerry and I will fill in the answers if you can't talk.
I actually can't commit
You're going to have to give us a Welsh accent. Can you do that?
Okay, look.
I can't commit to the whole hour.
Neither can we.
Okay. That's okay. But we were going to sing a song I was going to sing a song by Tom Jones, but Jerry told me Badfinger is a Welsh group as well. I didn't know that. So we're going to sing a song by Badfinger. Are you up to that, Kendra?
I can't sing, but you can recite Dylan Thomas poetry as well.
No, we're not that.
He's Welsh.
We're getting there.
If you want it. You ready with me, Jerry? Come on.
Here it is.
Come and get it. But you better hurry because it's going fast. If you want it,
anytime
I can get it. But you gotta make your mind up fast. Did I hear you say that there
must be a catch?
Would you walk away from a fool and his money? Sonny, honey. Okay, you know what? We got to get the show going. Look, if your client said, Kendra, that you're not allowed to eat meat, no one can eat meat in the office, would that cause a problem for you in terms of, as a recruiter, finding people who would conform to that culture? This is for real, okay? I'm taking it right from the headlines. No answer.
I told you I wanted a steak.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
I can see a policy against reheating fish in the break room microwave. That's gone bad too many times in my life.
And that's exactly what I have for lunch today too. Is a piece
reheated
of cod.
Fish?
Yeah.
What kind of fish?
Cod.
Aw. I'd kick you out. Sorry, Kendra.
Okay, but what about recruiting? What about recruiting? Because I've got stories about people, making smelly food in the office. But this is about recruiting. A company is, they're virtue signalers. They said they don't want to have, complicate the ecosystem, and they want to be kind to animals. And so nobody can eat meat in their office, none of the employees. Is that going to cause a problem for a recruiter? I don't really think so.
What happens when employees behave badly? Boy, we could do an entire TV show, maybe a Netflix special on that. Well, Ryan and I sat down and recorded episodes for FAMA, and we asked practitioners, give us your most outrageous story. The sales leader that brings cocaine to work, whatever. Just bring us the outrageous, and it is funny. So if you need a laugh, which we all do from time to time, search for Workplace Misconduct wherever you get your podcast, and you'll find it. And trust me, you will laugh and cry, but you'll definitely laugh. All right. Thank you.
No, I think it's a cultural statement. They'll attract a certain segment of more crunchy people, and we can't wear jeans at my company, and there's people that find that an issue, but they just work with it. They don't wear jeans.
Yeah, but how that's not if you got a good job, wearing jeans is not the most important thing in the world. Likewise, if you want to eat meat, go out to a restaurant. You don't have to bring your burgers back.
I'm against that. The whole no meat uptight crowd, that's just the tip of the iceberg on that. You couldn't even get me in the lobby on that kind of a place.
That's what I'm saying. That would become their brand. A certain segment of people would be attracted, and the rest would be turned off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. I think Michelle's here. Michelle, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, there we go.
Great. Okay, Michelle Letherby. Her Twitter name is Letherbys. We've been talking about you, and you should add an A to your name, so it's leather sounds like leather.
I heard you talking. Yeah, but if you break it down, Letherby is let her by, so it just basically means just get out of my way.
Okay. We're not that sharp, okay? And nobody else is either. Okay, Michelle, if your candidate, thank you, Kendra. I owe you one.
Thank you, Kendra. Great fill-in.
Yeah, okay. If your candidate, she's got a husky, I'm going to say sexy voice, okay, Kendra? Thank you. Okay. If your candidate, Michelle, left her last job because she made a complaint about sexual harassment and she didn't feel that anybody supported her after doing that and, she decided she was going to leave, would you have a hard time placing her after that?
No, not personally.
No? Okay. So,
no.
So because if the employer said, why'd she leave her last place? And you said, well, she made this complaint about sex harassment, he wouldn't
You wouldn't
say
that.
No, you wouldn't? You wouldn't?
It took us 12 minutes to hit an absolute bottom of stupidity barrel here. 12 minutes. 12.
Come on.
There we are.
Is that a new record?
No. Not even close.
Hold on.
You don't mention sexual harassment as a reason for leaving a... God.
What do you say,
Jerry? She wouldn't be having much luck, would she? Because she would have been discriminated against in her previous job for sexual harassment, and then we're discriminating against her for speaking up.
Yeah, but okay, Michelle, if you were going to present her to a company and your client said, why'd she leave or why did she want to leave? And you said, she made a complaint about sexual harassment and it hasn't been very nice for her since then. Everybody's giving her the cold shoulder, et cetera, et cetera. And, she's sure she's not going to be able to advance. Would you actually be honest about that? Or are you like Jerry on the dark side?
If the candidate wanted me to, then yes. Otherwise, I'd suggest another way of her having that conversation with them.
Really? I am shocked.
Unless she didn't want to, and she wanted me to have that conversation.
If she didn't want to mention it, but that was the actual reason, what would you say instead?
If she wanted give them a different reason.
Yeah, but that's naming a lie.
They couldn't eat meat in the office.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Okay, I mean we got two opposite opinions here. Kendra, do you want to break the tie? Michael G. Cox, he's here. Michael G. Cox, what would you do? Okay.
Michael G. Cox is an actual professional, so this might be a good tiebreaker.
Okay.
Michael G. Cox. Hey, I'm just calling in. My apologies. What was the question?
Oh, gee whiz. I know you were here before I even started talking about this. You got a candidate, okay? Mm-hmm. Her current employer, she made a complaint about sexual harassment. She's getting the cold shoulder in the office since then. There's no way she's going to advance there. It's very unpleasant. That's the reason she wants to leave. Would you tell the hiring manager that's the case, or would you come up with some other?
That's more stupid the second time I heard the question.
Yeah, sorry.
It's more ridiculous than the first time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my first question to the candidate would be, why the hell are you telling me? And no, I wouldn't tell the hiring manager about that. That's stupid. No.
Why not?
You have to. I would tell the candidate, omit that from your conversation with any employer. Don't do that. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
Well,
just say you're looking for a step forward in your career. I mean, since when do we have to tell the truth out here? I mean, it won't be long, Animal, before there are laws, at least in the United States, that you're not even going to be allowed to ask people. I mean, you can't talk to them about salary.
It's going to be a series of grunts back and forth.
Yeah, you just look at each other, and if it lasts for 20 minutes, you're in.
Yeah, she could just say there was no career advancement opportunities there. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward one without
lying. Yeah, okay. You know what? If someone checks the references or talks to her employer, then the lie is going to be exposed. And I don't feel comfortable.
It's just wrong again. No company in their right mind is going to say, she reported sexual harassment and we let her go. Or anything even close to that. What planet are you on, man? God.
I guess I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one because I live in a different world than you guys. Okay,
why don't you tell us how you would handle this then? Come on, seriously.
I'd be absolutely honest.
Okay, so after you're absolutely honest, where would you find your next candidate?
Yeah, okay.
Jeez.
Well, okay. Listen, here's a follow-up question.
Wow.
These are right off the headlines. Michelle, you with me? Okay.
I'm with you.
Would you defend a candidate? It came out that, he's got some tweets from 5 or 6 years ago where he made jokes about rape and stuff like that.
Oh, my God.
This guy, James Gunn, this famous director, just got fired by Disney because they found from 9 years ago he made a joke about rape. Okay? That's for real.
What was the joke?
Did you keep the horrible questions for me to come on today?
I read it in the last few days. I read an article about it today, and I said, I'm going to ask Michelle. You don't want to answer that question? I
don't know how to answer it, to be honest.
Great answer.
It's one of those ones you'd need a week to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. He made a joke 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 5 years ago. So what? I mean, it doesn't mean he's a rapist or anything like that.
I agree with you to an extent there because of how long ago it was, and he's probably learned his lesson. But that doesn't necessarily mean his views has changed on the topic, which could be quite derogatory.
Yeah. You know what? He's a left-winger. He's been crawling on his knees since that happened. Okay, well, let's move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Here's a question you might like better. Okay. How do you do business development? You are an agency recruiter, so you bring in your own business. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you predominantly on the telephone, so phone sales. So what do you do? Call up somebody you've never spoken to before, and talk to who do you talk to in the company? Are you talking, Michelle, and we can't hear you, or are you thinking? I can't hear. Can anybody hear? Okay, I can't hear you. Gomer Pyle, I can't hear you. Are you talking?
I can hear you. I am.
Good. Well, you're going in and out. Start talking about business development. I need to know how do you do it? Okay, for my personal benefit.
Okay. Yeah. So I use telephone prospecting.
No more European guests. No more guests from Europe. I can't take it. Okay. Go ahead. You know what?
He's from Europe?
Well, you're fixed. Is Great Britain part of Europe? They're trying to get out, but they're still in right now. You know what? Well, I'm going to give her line a bit of time to percolate, okay? And I'm going to do an ad. Hey, everybody. Recruiting Animal here for PC Recruiter. You know, there's all kinds of recruiters. There's recruiters in Wales. There's recruiters in Texas. There's recruiters in Indiana. There's guys doing staffing, direct hire, executive search. And some people say that all these different kinds of recruiters need different kinds of recruiting software. But I'm going to tell you something. That's not true. That's one of my taglines. That's not true. And I'll tell you why. Because PC Recruiter, a sponsor of this show, they make software that suits every kind of recruiting. And you know why? I'm going to tell you. There's one word that explains it. PC Recruiter is configurable. They don't impose their workflow structure on you. You get the software. You configure it to suit yourself. And if you're too dumb to do it on your own, hey, just call their friendly tech staff. They'll be happy to help you. Okay? I would need the help, okay? I'm not embarrassed to say so. Anyway, and they don't care if you're just a solo recruiter in your basement or you're part of a big team in a big company. Because big or small, we help them all. That's what PC Recruiter says, and here's what I say. If you're a recruiter, PC Recruiter loves you. So go check them out, please.
Well, what's the slur against solo recruiter in your basement, as if that's the insignificant left side of the spectrum? Dude, you need to start picking your words a little more closely.
No, if you're a solo recruiter, you're not buying a tons of seats. I mean, you're not that important a customer.
Okay, so solo recruiter then. That covers it. Not solo recruiter in your basement. Why don't you say solo recruiter in your mom's basement? Surfing porn.
Okay. You know, that's even worse. Okay.
Well, so come on, man.
Okay, Jerry.
Dude, you just don't live in the States. You'll never understand the pressure we have to choose the right words every time. Every time, Animal.
I believe.
Not most of the time. Always.
I believe that rhetoric is very important in getting the message across. And salespeople, like we're talking about now, business development, rhetoric is important. That's why I'm going to ask Michelle if she can hear me to tell me if I can hear her. Yes, I can now. Thank you. I want to know how you do business development. I think you told us before the first thing you do is get on the phone. And I'm wondering, how do you pick a company to call? Who do you call in the company? How do you figure that out? What do you say to the receptionist? Okay, those are the first steps. Please explain to me, okay?
Okay. So I'll probably have a list of companies put into the database. So, for example, I'll choose a location such as a region, and then the companies that I'm looking for, say, recruitment agencies specifically within Cardiff. I'll pop 50 of them into the database the day before, the evening before, with a view to start calling through them the following morning. So
Hold on a second. Why are you calling recruiting agencies? You're recruiting for companies, I thought. Am I wrong? Are you recruiting recruiters?
I do both. I recruit recruiters as well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was using that as an example. Obviously, I do crane and plant.
No, don't use recruiters. That's a special case. Use a company, please. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. So crane and plant companies, then, for example, I list all the crane and plant companies throughout maybe the Midlands, and then I'll start calling through those. So exactly like you just suggested with prospecting, you call up the receptionist, you ask who deals with recruitment for the company, You can probably find that information out on LinkedIn, but it just helps to build that rapport and get that connection.
Hold on a second. No, I'm confused. You say who does recruitment, and they're going to put you down to HR, human resources. You want to talk to them first?
No, because within crane and plant industry, you've got a lot less HR division, so you tend to go directly through to one of the senior management team. So you tend to go through to the director or the operations manager or project manager, sometimes finance.
Oh, okay. So what industry is this that you're talking about? I can't make it out. What did you say?
Crane and plant.
Oh, cranes. Okay. You mean big companies producing big machinery like that? They don't have an HR department, and they'll put you through directly. When you talk to the receptionist, she'll put you through to a hiring manager. That's what you're saying, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of the larger ones would, because they'd be manufacturers, for example. They'd have lots of different divisions. They'd have a HR division. But a lot of the smaller ones,
you know what? I got to tell you something. HR is low class. HR is low class. It's HR, okay? Raise yourself up a bit. I'm going to teach you something on this show. It's HR, not HR, okay? Now, next step.
HR. H for human.
Yeah, that's not what we say. Okay.
Human.
Yeah. Okay, let's move. Yeah, let's move forward. So now you've got the hiring manager. You put through. He or she says, "Hello." What do you say?
Dedicated recruiters to the heavy lift industry, having been in that sector for 10 years, so I've got a well-established network of candidates available. And what kind of positions do they struggle with? What can I help with at the moment?
Really, it's that simple, and you get business that way.
It's pretty straightforward because you go in directly to the manager, who's incredibly busy. So if he also has the responsibility of recruiting, then you just kind of want to get to the point, because he hasn't got time to waste by adding fluff. And as soon as he knows that you do exactly what you do, which is relevant to what he needs, then he knows you know your stuff. He knows that you know the industry and what he'll need. So it's a pretty straightforward call for him.
Okay, hold on. Let me throw you a curve. I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you have actually switched. You have actually switched, Michelle, from, I think you were doing lawyers when you first started as a recruiter 20 years ago, and then you moved into these cranes and oil and gas. So you've been moving around. What if you call somebody up to get business and you can't say, I've worked 10 years in your field? How do you get business then?
It's the same process, really, isn't it? You know, once you've been doing recruitment for a long time, regardless of the sector and the position, I mean, having been in recruitment for almost 20 years, I've probably dealt with all types of different roles. So whether they come at me with a sales role, a finance role, or anything, director level.
Okay, but how do you present yourself? Because you said you establish your credibility by telling them right off the bat, I got 10 years experience in your field, and I've got a fantastic network that I can, pull people out of right away. What if you can't say that? How do you establish your credentials then?
Okay, so what, do you mean a completely new sector like IT or something like that?
No, I don't know. You've moved around. Let's say you were in lawyers on Friday. Now it's Monday. You're moving into I don't know.
Well, let me jump in here. Why do you feel that you need to quantify your experience as a number of years?
That's what Michelle did. That's what she did, okay?
Okay, I must have missed that.
I don't do that in a sales call, though. I don't go in and say, hi, I'm Michelle, I've been in recruitment for 20 years. I suppose if it was a completely new sector that I had absolutely no previous experience in, such as IT, then maybe I'd call on that at that point. But, it's a people process at the end of the day, isn't it? I'd use the fact that, I keep clients and I've got same clients that I've had for the last 10 years. They keep coming back. They refer me to new clients. So I'd use all of those elements.
I've got a kind of a side question here. Michelle, how are you able to have a LinkedIn profile without a profile picture, actually? I went to look you up on LinkedIn while we're talking here, and it appears there is no profile picture. Is that... I was kicked off for having a cartoon picture years ago. They said you have to have that's one of the requirements, isn't it, folks? A professional picture?
I do have a LinkedIn picture. I don't know why it's not coming up, but I do have one there.
I didn't see it either. I wondered about that too. Thank you, Jerry. Okay.
You're welcome. It looks like there's a picture of an actress.
Yeah.
Vox Pictures.
Our guest is a fanatic follower. She's a fanatic for this TV series over there called Keeping Faith or something like that.
Yes. No, I have a picture. My picture is there as my image, but that's the background. You can change the background images.
Yeah, but we can't see your picture, okay? Maybe
it
doesn't show in North America.
It matters to me. I mean, it was just interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Just to drop a bomb on that one, the reason that picture is up in the background is because my daughter is 13 and she's acting in that show.
Oh, cool!
So
really?
I have it up. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm promoting it.
Is she bringing in a lot of? Is she bringing in a lot of money? In case you've got a slow period.
Not enough yet.
Okay.
She's working on it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, how much coaching does a candidate need before an interview? Okay. Do you coach candidates before they go in?
I do, yes. I never used to. I just find that they need it a lot more these days. So yeah, I think it depends on how they come across. I prepare them on understanding about the company, understanding what the company is looking for and what they'll be looking from them as an individual. I just recently today had a guy go in for interview. He had to do a presentation because they were sitting on the fence about him. And I did quite a bit of coaching with him. He comes across quite confident and bubbly, but he just needed to sell himself. He had the potential for the role, but it was a new industry. Like you just asked me, he was going from construction into IT. So we had to talk about understanding the market so that he could, why he wanted to change sectors and so on.
If you've ever listened to a business podcast and thought, this sounds good, but no one actually talks like this behind closed doors, you're not wrong. On the LeaderBook AI podcast, we talk about the conversations leaders actually have after the board meeting, after the AI rollout that doesn't quite land. I'm Felicia Shakiba, and I interview CEOs, investors, and operators about what really drives performance. If you want that level of honesty, subscribe to the LeaderBook AI podcast.
So you told them what to say and then rehearsed the lines with them? Is that essentially what happened? I'm not clear.
No. I just told him what they would be looking for. They'd want to know.
You did he didn't do the research. You did it for him essentially. You assimilated everything.
No.
You told him about the company. No.
He had to do a presentation on them anyway. So he had to go away and he had to look at their past, their present, and their future. So that was an opportunity for him to do all of that himself. And I just told him, I had to coach him what they were looking for from him. They're very specific in what they're looking for.
So how much time? How much time? Was that 5 minutes or a half an hour or an hour? How much time did you spend coaching the candidate before he went in?
It was probably about 20 to 30 minutes because we were talking about what
I'm curious about a remark you made. You said, I never had to coach people before. Are you saying that the younger generation is stupid or ignorant or is it just everybody is why do you have to coach people now and you didn't have to do it before?
I think because before, when I was my focus was construction, crane and plant. These guys were seasoned guys. They'd done it as an industry before. They were contracting, so they know what to do and what they were looking for going in. More recently, I know you mentioned not to concentrate on it, but I've been doing rec to rec. And the amount of recruiters that just don't know how to sell themselves is just
really? I've heard that
surprising.
heard they're the worst candidates possible, that they often don't show up for the interview. Is that true? That they're the worst?
I've been doing rec to rec less than a year because construction can take quite a long time for a placement to go through. I've done some rec to rec thinking that they'd be kind of quicker placements, although they're a lot smaller fees, so that they would balance each other out for me whilst I was setting up. And definitely the hardest sector I've worked in. As you can see, I've worked in quite a few.
Really?
So yeah, I've had a few not turn up for interview. I've had a few not turn up on the first start day.
Wow. And does anybody else on the line find that strange? I thought, these are recruiters. They know the business. They know how it's supposed to work. they would do everything without coaching. But in fact, they're the worst. Is anybody else surprised, or is it just me? Michael G. Cox.
I had to start coaching on CVs as well, because the CVs just, again, there's no achievements on there, there's no track record. They don't know what they've been billing over the last year, or if they're hitting quotas. But when they say they don't know if they hit quotas, it kind of makes you wonder whether they have.
That's shameful. Yeah. Come on, I'm asking Jerry, Michael, Kendra, is there anybody here who agrees with me? It's a shocker.
What was the shocker? I missed that. I was grabbing a glass of water.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
What was the shocker? Hey, man, come on. Lay it on me.
These recruiters. Michelle is recruiting recruiters for the past year, and I said I'd heard that they're the worst candidates possible. They don't show up for the interviews or the start date.
Yes, they are.
They are.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
Most are just flat-out scumbags.
Yep.
Really?
If you're lucky, you start your own agency. Otherwise, you're just a lying scumbag.
Okay,
yeah,
hold
recruiter,
on.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but Alan, but look, didn't you? I was surprised. I expected they know the ropes. They're the best.
They do, and that's the problem.
Not the worst.
They do, and that's the problem.
Why is that a problem?
Because they already know the dance. If they want to, they can get through the first. They can get through the first couple of steps if they want to. But if they, a lot of them look 80-20, 90-10 rule. They're the worst candidates. I've built teams.
Okay, you're not making any sense. I got to do an
knock
ad.
It off.
I have to do an ad. Don't waste my time.
Can I just add? I think there's a few reasons. I think if they work in a sector where they have people let them down, they think it's okay themselves. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, you have the recruiters that let you down. You don't really know or understand why, but then that probably says a lot about them as a recruiter as well, in terms of getting back to their candidates, getting back to their clients.
Well, somebody thought they were good enough to hire, but you said they don't show on the start date. I mean, doesn't it come out in the interview? If you thought these guys were good enough to place, you must be surprised when they don't show. God, okay, I'm surprised. Yeah. Anyway, let me move on. I got to do an ad for my good friends at HireTool, HireTual. It's the super duper sourcing tool. Everybody loves it. Everybody's shouting about how good it is. This is how it works. You go to HireTool.com. You put in natural language, regular English, okay? You put in your search requirements. The tool, HireTool, it creates a search string for you. You don't have to know anything about Boolean. It does it. It searches all kinds of sites, GitHub, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you want, okay? And then it returns a list of candidates ranked from top to bottom in how closely they match your job spec, and it also guesses, what their salary range is going to be. It guesses which of these people are going to be most likely to be ready to leave. Also, HireTool is famous for giving you good contact information, personal and professional email, personal and professional phone numbers. You can go to the site and get their free Chrome extension and try it out. You can try out that contact information. Nintran is my contact there, but there's lots of other friendly people as well. HireTool.com, HireTual. Back to our good friend Michelle. Michelle, what do you want to talk about? I got tons of questions, but we're moving on in the show. You missed the first 10 minutes, unfortunately, for technical problems. What do you want to talk about? Anything special?
I have nothing special.
Oh boy, good.
Yeah. I listened to a few of your previous talks to kind of know what to expect today. And that didn't allow enough room in my brain for me to think of anything special.
Okay.
So,
right. Okay. Let me ask you.
I'm just going to go with the flow.
Do you, when you're recruiting candidates, do you cold call them at work? Do you use the phone, or are you email oriented?
Telephone. So I call them, and if they can't take the call, then we'll arrange a time, or I'll text, or I'll email.
Okay. So how do you source your candidates? First of all, where do you find them? On LinkedIn, or how do you find your candidates?
Yes, everywhere really. I source from a couple of different platforms. Can't just rely on one. So job sites. I actively source it from job sites. I post job adverts, but they could be hit or miss. That's probably more about getting the brand out. LinkedIn and referrals. I try and do a lot with referrals as well. So.
Okay, here's a question. When you call somebody up out of the blue, you've never spoken to them before, do you pitch the job, the specific job, on the first call, or do you spend the first call trying to build rapport and then arrange for an interview later on?
I spend the first call trying to build rapport, but if there's an opportunity to pitch on the job, just to give them that hook, that there's a relevance to it, then I will do so.
Hold on. So you actually, do you present the first call? What do you say? I'm working on a position, and I saw your profile, and I think it's good for you. I'd like to talk to you about it. Do you do that and then start talking about the job, or do you just say, how many kids do you have? How's your wife? I'm a friendly recruiter. I want to be your pal. I was wondering if we could have a conversation later on. Which one of those two options?
More aligned with the pitch.
So you actually go in.
Specific.
Yeah, you go for the jugular. You get the person on the phone, and you say, look, I want to talk about this job. If you're free to talk about it, let's do it right now. Yeah?
Yeah, before I ask about their kids, yeah.
Okay. And what about if they're not interested? What if they say, first thing they ask is, how much are they paying? What do you say?
I hate that question. No,
how do you parry it?
It's always a difficult one, isn't it? Because the client usually gives you a guide. Some clients don't give you a guide at all, but you know that they'll fall in line with market rates. So, and it can vary depending on the candidate's level of experience. So, someone might come from one role and be on 30, another one might be on 40, but they bring different qualities with them.
Are you telling me that you don't know that the client doesn't give you a salary range?
Not always, no. More often than not, they give you a guide.
How can you recruit? How can you recruit without knowing a salary? It's not against the law. The government hasn't prescribed that.
Because
how can you?
It seems different in the UK to the US market. I've listened to this topic come up quite a lot in the US market about not asking candidates for salaries and so on and so forth. But in the UK, I think there seems to be a lot less negotiating in the UK market than the US, from what I can tell. I might be completely wrong because I don't know the US market. But yeah, it's essentially in line with market rates. That people don't.
Yeah, but look, no, that's not what I'm asking you right now. That's not what I'm asking. Look, you have to establish somehow that the money that you're willing to pay fits into the demands or requirements of the candidate. So, or it sounds like you don't talk salary at all. You don't. It's not really an issue for you. You don't even know what. I don't know what my client wants to pay. Hey, okay, I don't know.
We definitely talk salary. Yeah, we definitely talk salary. It's very rarely the first question that they ask, and it's usually something that comes up at the end once they've established when are they interested or suitable for the position I have, to what is it that they are looking for from their career, whether it's the position
Hold on a second, wait. What do they say? Do they say, who's it with? Is that one of the first questions? And do you tell them who it's with?
That can be one of the other first questions. No, I don't tell them who it's with.
How do you sideline that question? I can't tell you right now. What do you say to them?
Yeah, exactly what you said. I can't tell you right now. The client asks, for it to be confidential, how competitive the market can be. Let's establish if it's something that you want to move forward with. And if you do want to move forward, then of course I'll send you the company website. You can have a look at their background before we put your details across. So they know that they will know who they are going to. I don't send them without telling them who the company is. But that's once we've established that it's the right opportunity, right package. And
do you leave voicemail? Sorry, I know people don't like this question. You do leave it.
Every time.
How many voicemails will you leave till you get a call back?
To the same person, probably 2 or 3 maximum. I drop a text message as well and then give up, or just keep trying to call.
Will you leave 10 messages? Will you leave 10 messages?
No.
If necessary.
If you don't hear back,
If you don't hear back from them after 2 or 3 messages, you'll let them go. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I've probably found someone else by that point. because you
really?
need to messages over a few days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'll have a targeted list of people.
Do people ever get mad at you for calling them?
No, not
Never?
experience.
I read today Michael G. Cox posted from Adam Karpiak. He in-mailed a guy on LinkedIn, and the guy said, "How dare you? How dare you contact me at work," or something like that. People here are very sensitive. I guess they're a little smarter maybe in Wales or but you recruit all around the world. You're an international jet setter according to your LinkedIn profile. What about this? I'm going to guess I know the answer. Do you think face-to-face meetings are very important, that they give people a chance to know you better and you make more of an impression on them, especially the clients? Do you believe in face-to-face?
Definitely. I think face-to-face is what cements it majority of the time.
What? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, yes, I think face-to-face is what cements the longer-term relationship the majority of the time.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it just gives that additional level of rapport, really, doesn't it? It's not to say, I have built long-term relationships with clients and ongoing business from just over the phone, but I think the ones when you've taken the time to go and meet them as well, regardless of how long you've been working with them beforehand, just gives you that additional security, really, and the level of customer service.
You know what? I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there's people on the line that agree with you. Jerry agrees. I don't.
You don't?
I think it can backfire. Okay, because you might be a good recruiter, but you've got you might not have the gift of gab to go in there and talk about whatever. If you're just on the phone, it's more business. You don't have to socialize with the person. Okay? That's my belief. Okay. Now, do you believe? I'll let you answer the question after. I have to do that. Do you believe there's a bias against mothers in the job market? I've read that when a job candidate lets somebody know that she is a parent, that there's a lot less likelihood that she's going to be offered the job if there's a candidate of equal experience and status who is not a parent or is a man with kids. It's only mothers. Fathers don't have that problem, okay? Think about that, and I'm going to do an ad for my good friends at Honeit, Honeit. I know that Michelle's child, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, has a cold, and I have a cold as well, okay? And I think Jerry's got people at his place. Everybody's got a cold, and we're all in different parts of the world, okay? I don't know if we caught it from the same person. Probably not. But anyway, Honeit is phone interview technology. The candidate, I'm going to tell you how it works. The candidate and the recruiter, they dial into the interview just like you're making an ordinary phone call. They have an interview, the regular conversation, everything's simple, only it's recorded. It's recorded. So you end up with an audio recording, and it's also immediately turned into a transcript. So you can read it and search it for keywords. So you don't have to worry about taking notes. You can take notes, but you don't have to worry about typing really fast or writing really fast, because if you miss something, boom, it's there already for you. Okay? And then it makes it really easy to share the information with a bunch of people. They don't have to interview the same candidate, 100 times and ask the same questions over and over. And listen to this. If you've got a question that's really important, when you start out that part of the conversation, you press a button, and then when you finish that part of the conversation, you press a button again. It creates a clip that you can pass on to the hiring manager and say, remember, this is the most important question? Just listen to this part of the conversation. And it targets the key parts. It records everything, but the key parts, the key issues are targeted, right? Okay, so please go check it out at Honeit. IT.com. I spelled it wrong. I told you I got a cold. HONEIT.com. Honeit.com. Not Honeit IT. Honeit.com. Thank you. Michelle, is there prejudice against mothers?
I don't think so. I see plenty of mothers working. And I think if there was a bias, it would be more along the lines of pregnancy, another pregnancy. This is just an opinion, of course. Would they be going on maternity leave again if they were to have another one soon? I think those would be more of a concern, and an element to the bias than the fact that they were a mum, because I think.
Okay, you're going on. Forget it.
Okay.
You gave me the answer you don't know. Okay. Sorry, I'm sick. I got to make it for another 10 minutes. Do you ask? Does anybody else have a question? I'm open. Maybe I'm boring. Okay, I'm open to anything. So, Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle. Okay. When you are on the phone on the first contact with one of these people, person comes and says, "Look, Michelle, I'm not really interested." Will you go in and ask for a referral right away, or do you think that's ridiculous? And you have to cultivate this person over a number of months before you can ask him or her to share other people's names with you.
Okay, I don't know if you're going to shout at me for this, but yes, I do ask them for a referral.
The first contact?
If it's relevant, yes. Not every single call or person or job that I'm working on.
Do you get referrals? Do you get referrals?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me how to do it.
I'm nice to them.
What's so nice about you? How are you nice?
My accent,
what?
Can you tell?
It's kind of a weird accent. It's like half Irish or something like that. I don't know. Okay, is that it? Your accent sells. Should I pretend I don't know if I could imitate a Welsh accent, but if I pretend I have an accent, you think I'm going to have an extra? Maybe it's because you're a woman. Is that fair? Are you dealing mostly with men?
I do deal predominantly with men in the sector, yeah, but no, I don't think that's the reason.
Okay.
I think it's just because I talk to them, I show interest. If they're not interested in the role, is there anything else I can help them with? Are they looking for something different? Should we keep in touch? Just kind of that rapport, get a bit of a conversation going with them, and then, by the way, do you happen to know anyone else that might be interested?
Do your candidates have to take personality tests very often?
No, I don't do personality tests. Doing maybe?
Oh no, I'm losing you. Hold on. Pardon me. Do you have to take personality tests? Yes or no? I didn't hear that answer.
No, I don't. I don't take them.
Really? Okay.
No, but
wow.
That was my question to you, actually. Should I be taking them? Yeah.
You know what? I had a guest on a few weeks ago who I was very impressed by, a psychologist, and he said they're really good and they really work, but all the recruiters were against it. They said they're not good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. He said resumes and interviews are useless. You just get the resume, get the person to do a personality test online, and you can hire based on that. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Hi, we're Meg and Amy from The Meg and Amy Show.
We're not only tech execs and big picture thinkers, we're also best friends.
We're curious learners. And on this podcast, we're challenging the status quo and activating the future.
And we're going to give advice about work and leadership, right, Meg?
We can't help ourselves. But this podcast is about exploring possibility, not being right.
That sounds refreshing.
For more, tune in to The Meg and Amy Show.
I had, it was a few years ago now, but I had some really senior level people go for a senior sales job within Craig.
Yeah.
And their track record was immense. It was fantastic. And they done psychology tests, and it just gave the complete opposite information on them. But this guy had a track record with references and recommendations, and so I don't think that they can always be trusted.
How many interviews do your candidates usually have to have?
Just between 1 and 2, I'd say it's probably a 50-50 split, whether it's one interview or two interviews.
Really? That's it? Okay.
With the client, yes.
So you don't have them dragging it out. Your clients don't drag it out through 5 interviews and something like that. Because Michael G. Cox was writing on Twitter that it happens to him. There's 5 or 6 interviews. By the time they get finished and ready to make a decision, the candidate has gone somewhere else. That's not your experience.
No, that's only been 1 or 2 occasions when it's maybe been a senior director level with one of the big blue chip international companies, and they're in Asia and the company's in the Middle East. and they want them to talk to every different CEO and director, and then you lose them before the end of the process because there's like 4 interviews. But that's not generally my day-to-day recruitment. That's just usually a one-off.
How did you pick up these? You do business in the Middle East and Asia, and so how did you get that kind of business?
I started out in that industry about 10 years ago, and it was a very niche market in the UK for the company I was working for. And I could just see a pattern where a lot of these guys, these crane operators, were going to work overseas for 3 times the salary than they were earning in the UK and expat benefits. So I just thought, well, hang on, obviously there's a market there. And a lot of them were going out to the Middle East and to Africa. So I just started contacting companies in the Middle East, and they were just like, yeah, great, we need lots of expats, send them across.
Hold on a second. So you phoned companies where English is not the main language and asked to speak to the hiring manager again? That's what you did?
Yeah. They do speak English. It's just not their main language. But they speak English widely in the UK.
Sorry, you're breaking up again. What did you say?
But they have, don't they? And English is one of the language.
Okay, but they don't. So you tell them, I'm a headhunter in Great Britain, and I can get you people from here to relocate to your part of the world. Yeah, I've got a good pipeline. Is that what you said? That's your presentation, essentially? And they say, great? Is that it?
Essentially. Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I'm losing you. Let's see if we got 2 more minutes left in us, because I can barely hear what you're saying. What's the best recruiting advice that you've ever received? Can you remember it, that you thought, boy, this made a big difference to me after you started doing something different that you weren't doing before?
Something different that I wasn't doing before.
Yeah, did you ever learn anything in recruiting? I don't know, maybe you took a course, I don't know, but maybe you went to a recruiting conference, I don't know. Maybe you have a friend who's a recruiter and said, Michelle, why don't you try this? Did you ever learn anything in recruiting that you thought was quite important?
No, I mean, yeah, I was just told to for the database. All that, and that was the training that has gone me through to today. So I'd say that the biggest part I probably learned was selling candidates in to clients rather than vacancies. That's been massive over, since learning that one. That's been a big.
What was that? Repeat that to me so I can hear it, and we're going to end the show because I can barely hear what you're talking about now. What did you learn? Turning candidates into clients?
No, selling candidates into companies instead of just gathering vacancies.
So how do you do that?
So you have a hot candidate or a key candidate, and then you draw up a list of clients that they would be suitable for, and then you sell them into the client.
Okay, so you mean marketing candidates?
Yeah.
Okay. Michael G. Cox, are you area code 210? Do you have a question before I finish off? Okay, he's a smart guy. I thought I would ask him a question. Michelle, do you have any final words?
I don't. Thank you for having me. I was petrified.
Thank you. I'm really sorry that we had, I'm sorry we had all these technical problems. But for the major part of the show, I could hear you and you could hear me. So Michelle Letherby at Letherbys.
then
job
with
at what
recharging.
she does and being
Does that make me an
community
introvert?
manager. That doesn't make her an extrovert.
Yes, Jerry, you're an introvert.
By
Jerry, if you drink alone, then you're an introvert.
What if I drink alone, but I call a lot of people all night long because I want to talk to somebody?
Then you're an extrovert.
While you're drinking.
Okay.
Then you're an alcoholic, but that's okay.